Okay, so you know how this works, right? We take a deep dive into the source material you've given us and try to pull out the most important stuff for you.
Yeah, like a crash course, but, hopefully fun.
Exactly. So today, we're diving into at-cost metals.
Sounds like a metal band, haha, but it's actually pretty interesting.
It is. We've got this audio interview between a co-founder of the company, Troy LaCoe, and Teri Shuler. She's a silver-ranked affiliate.
And there's also this YouTube video transcript from the At Cost Metals channel.
Right. And what we really want to get to the bottom of is this idea that at-cost metals is kind of shaking things up in the precious metals world, disrupting the industry.
Yeah, Trey LaCoe seems to think their digital approach is a game changer.
And we're going to hear from Teri about, her experience on the ground and what this all means for, someone like you listening who might be interested in this whole precious metals thing.
All right, let's jump in. So first off, why are precious metals even a big deal right now, according to Troy? He says it's not about hype or doomsday predictions or any of that.
Yeah, he kind of brushes that aside right away.
He's focused on the idea that people need financial stability and precious metals can offer that.
Like a solid foundation.
Exactly. And he's really clear that At Cost Metals isn't looking for people who chase every new opportunity that pops up. They want to build a loyal customer base.
Okay, so like a long-term vision.
Exactly. And Thierry agrees with this. She
Yeah.
basically says people already get it. They
Hmm.
understand the value of precious metals.
Right. It's not like you have to convince people that gold and silver are good things to have.
Now, there's an interesting shift that happens early on in the conversation.
What do you mean?
Well, you'd think a company like At Cost Metals, operating in a network marketing model would naturally target experienced network marketers first.
That makes sense.
But the conversation quickly moves towards reaching everyday people, the average Joe, who might be looking for ways to protect their savings.
So they're not just preaching to the choir, so to speak.
Exactly. They see a much broader audience for what they're offering.
Now, Terry brings up a challenge that I think a lot of people can relate to. As these networks grow, how do you actually make sure everyone has the information and training they need?
Yeah, that's a really practical issue, especially for a company that's scaling up.
She calls it a major hurdle.
Right. So how do you maintain consistency and make sure everyone's on the same page? Thierry thinks leadership is all right. How leaders need to take responsibility for making sure their teams have the right info.
So it's not just about recruiting people, it's about supporting them.
Right. And she mentioned some of the things they're already doing, like private Facebook groups and tutorials to try to tackle this.
Makes sense. So what does Terry look for in a company? As an affiliate, she needs a few things. Good products, of course, reliable paychecks.
And she specifically mentions integrity.
Oh, yeah, she really emphasizes that.
She wants to know that her downline is protected, that the company is operating ethically.
That's huge.
Absolutely. And when you think about the bigger picture, Thierry has this long-term perspective. She knows being in the pioneering stage of anything can be tough.
You're going to hit some bumps in the road.
But she believes those who stick it out through those early challenges are going to reap the biggest rewards down the line.
Patience and persistence, right?
Right. So let's talk metals. Thierry is super excited about silver.
Yeah, she calls it the big play.
She sees it as a more accessible entry point for people compared to gold. The price point is lower.
So if you're new to precious metals, silver's a good place to start.
That's her strategy. Help people understand why they need to have some precious metals, and then silver is an easy first step.
Now let's get to the heart of this whole disruption thing, the at-cost model.
Right. Terry admits that she had the same question a lot of people probably do. How can they possibly offer precious metals at cost?
Yeah, where's the catch?
Well, the revenue comes from things like memberships and other avenues like the Get Ahead coin. But Terry highlights a really important insight from JD Davis, the other co-founder of At Cost Metals.
Okay, what's that?
She says they're not just a network marketing company, they're a technology company.
Interesting. So it's not just about the metals themselves, it's about how they're getting those metals.
Exactly. They've built this technology platform that connects them directly to the major market makers.
Okay, so they're cutting out the middleman.
Essentially. And that allows them to offer those lower prices and potentially even more transparency.
This sounds like it has the potential to really change the game.
Terry thinks, so she believes this message, a technology company in the metal space is going to resonate with people who are maybe hesitant about traditional network marketing.
It's a fresh approach.
And Troy really doubles down on this disruption idea. He says they're combining their tech infrastructure with a fundamental need for silver and gold for the average person.
So meeting a real need in a new way.
And Terry backs this up with her own experience, she says. At Cost Metals, prices are consistently lower than their competitors.
That's a big selling point.
Now let's talk about Teri's strategy for her own group. She's working with her partner, Kevin.
She's got a lot of good things to say about Kevin, by the way.
Yeah, they seem to have a great partnership. She praises his marketing skills, his creativity, and she even calls him a good human being, which is always a nice touch.
So what are they focused on?
Building the biggest customer base possible within at cost metals.
Customers, not just marketers.
Exactly. They want to build a solid foundation of people who are simply interested in buying precious metals.
Makes sense.
The idea is that this large customer base then becomes a pool of potential marketers, people who might be interested in the business opportunity down the line.
So they're attracting marketers organically through their customer base.
Right. And both Teri and Troy seem to agree that right now is the perfect storm for precious metals.
The economic climate is ripe.
Exactly. And back to Teri and Kevin for a second. They have this really collaborative approach.
They seem to complement each other well.
Yeah, Teri's got the precious metals knowledge. Kevin's got the marketing expertise. They're focusing on building what their group needs now, and then they plan to share those tools and resources with the whole company later.
That's a nice gesture.
Yeah, very community-minded. Now, we also heard a little bit about the differences between binary and unilevel compensation structures.
Troy mentions that binary structures like the one at Cost Metals allow for more support for downlines.
Right. In a binary system, someone above you can place people in your downline, which can help you grow your team faster.
Versus a unilevel where you're more on your own.
Exactly. Now, here's a cool example of innovation. Teri used to offer a portion of her commission as an immediate discount to new people joining her team.
So like $50 off a $179 entry fee.
Yeah, something like that. It's a tangible benefit that lowers the barrier to entry.
Smart.
And then J.D. Bavis comes up with this idea to automate that process.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they want to build a feature right into the at-cost metals platform that lets members apply their commission as a discount for new referrals.
That's brilliant. It streamlines the whole thing.
And it encourages duplication. Everyone can use the strategy easily.
It's like they're building a system that's designed to grow organically.
Exactly. Now, Teri's commitment to at-cost metals is clear. She says, I will be the last man standing.
Wow, that's dedication.
She believes in this company. She sees it as more than just a business opportunity.
Like a mission.
Yeah, she thinks they're offering something that people really need, and both she and Troy emphasize the importance of spreading the word.
Getting their message out there.
By communicating their value proposition to a wider audience.
And how does Carrie approach this?
She describes her style as heart talk. She believes in being genuine and connecting with people on a personal level.
So it's not about slick sales tactics.
No, it's about authenticity and understanding people's needs. And she really believes that at-cost metals has the potential to change lives.
That's powerful.
And Troy reiterates that focus on the average Joe. They're not just going after experienced network marketers.
You see a much bigger market.
Exactly. And finally, Teri shares a personal reflection on the importance of faith, especially during times of uncertainty.
It gives you a glimpse into what drives her.
All right, so let's wrap this up for you. The learner at Cost Metals wants to disrupt the precious metals industry.
By using technology to offer lower prices and a membership model.
And their focus is on building a large base of customers, not just marketers.
The aha moment for me was realizing that they're positioning themselves as a technology company in the precious metals space.
Right.
Yeah.
That's key. It's not just about the metals, it's about the platform.
And that whole idea of using commissions as an immediate discount, that's pretty innovative.
It is, and it shows how they're trying to build a system that benefits everyone involved.
So the big question for you, the learner, is this. What could this model mean for the future of the precious metals market?
What are the pros and cons for everyday people who want to invest in silver and gold?
It's worth thinking about how technology is changing even traditional industries like precious metals.
And that's our deep dive for today.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep learning.
And keep questioning.
Absolutely.